This is Robert Reagan, and I'm about to read a brand new short story that I just finished. It's called Keeping Her Around. Jordan was a cool character. He worked hard because that's what a man was supposed to do. For all this, he rewarded himself with whatever he wanted. What he wanted was a nice car with a banging system, name brand clothes and shoes. This was so he'd seem cool to any ladies that may pass by wherever he went. Growing up, Jordan was always chubby. His face was covered with acne. In English class, he had trouble reading. Now older, he's strong with muscular tattooed arms and a broad chest. His face isn't filled with craters. No, his beard is trimmed into a thin line connected to his short hair. That guy who couldn't read aloud in class, he reads now when he's all by himself. On his nook are books by Stephen King and Dean Koontz, as well as non-fiction books about the Illuminati and other conspiracy theories. It's hard for him to concentrate on much else but women. His mind isn't all the way in the gutter. Jordan sees women and thinks about more than sex. He could just walk by a woman in the grocery store and in his mind see himself with her walking on the beach, holding hands as the waves run underneath their feet. In the past, these types of things really happened. Even though Jordan was obsessed with love and sex, he still stayed to himself. At every party, he'd just sit there wearing a black fitted cap and dark sunglasses even at night. Jordan would be smoking a blunt aloud, holding whatever mixed drink he had in the other hand, as he bobbed his head to whatever music was playing. It didn't matter if it was rock, pop, heavy metal, country, or hip-hop and R&B. Jordan loved it all. Most times he'd just sit there like this while all his boys were up in the women's face, flirting and groping their hands. None of them loved doing it as much as Jordan. Being shy ended up being sexy as far as these hotties were concerned. Jordan was hard to figure out, being he wasn't constantly putting himself out there. Joanna was hard to get, and she wasn't just playing. With her goddess body and bright, straight blonde hair, she was a magnet. Guys were drawn to her. It seemed almost magical. But then she became the one drawn to this guy who she thought was only playing the silent type. You couldn't see Jordan's eyes for his shades, but they were shining as bright as his smile. He'd heard about Joanna, how she was like the 25-year-old virgin. All his friends passed around the smoke from time to time, bragging about how they'd love to take her virginity. Jordan didn't want to take it. He wanted her to give it to him. It was the same thing. Either way, he treated her with respect, the way you were supposed to treat a lady. Riding shotgun in a purple sundress, Joanna's legs drove him wild. Still, he kept his hands to himself. She knew all this was driving him crazy. Sitting there, Joanna just smiled, being a tease. Jordan didn't smoke in the car around her. For his buzz, he sniffed a 512 and then took a 10 by mouth. He was feeling great, but the painkillers made him itch. Jordan scratched his face so much he probably thought he had some horrible skin disease. It didn't stop him from singing and rapping along with Fabulous and Tamia's Into You. With one hand on the wheel, he'd point to her as he said the words to this rap love song. Joanna loved that song, even if it was old now. She thought Jordan was just adorable rapping along. Everything he did had this way of making her tingle. Her defenses were growing weak with the moisture between her legs and the chills on her skin. That evening they were going to the movies. Joe wanted to see this edgy romantic thriller. Jordan wanted to see that one too, but had his heart set on this horror film called Nervous. Joanna told him that scary movies gave her nightmares. He told her it would be okay. The movie was about a young woman, once possessed by demons, moving into a haunted house, only to find out that she was the one who haunted this place, as the evil from her past comes back to claim her soul. There was baby dolls with bloody faces, shadows, and the frenzy of the cutting self-abuse of heroin. The movie lived up to its name, leaving you with this nervous feeling. The whole time Joe could hardly watch, covering her eyes, gasping, before burying her face into Jordan's chest and shoulder. She liked resting her head on him. Truthfully, she wasn't scared as she acted. It wasn't like she needed an excuse to get close. Joe knew Joe knew he wanted her. Jordan wouldn't ask for it, but in his eyes was this hunger. That night, Joanna asked if they could spend the whole night together. "We could spend the rest of our lives together, baby," Jordan said as he finished rolling up a loud and a sour apple blunt. This made her smile because she knew he meant every word. They'd been serious for a while, and she wondered why he hadn't already proposed. Jordan himself thought about this. It made him more nervous than any demon baby doll ever could. Joe thought he was probably waiting for things to steam up. He was, but it was all up to her. As soon as they walked into his door, Joe rushed up behind, pushing him down on the couch. Looking up, Jordan had this shocked expression, followed by a smile. Standing there, Joanna slid the straps of her purple dress down her shoulders, letting it fall to the floor. The rest is up in the air, since neither of them told anyone that much about their business. Still, it was no secret that Joe gave up her virginity. They were always together after that, a lot closer to each other, displaying all kinds of public affection. People started calling her a whore. It was stupid considering she was 25 and had just slept with one person. Joe let all that talk change her heart. Was she moving too fast? Things had already went too far. Jordan never hurt her, but Joe walked out and left him. Anyway, the whole thing killed him inside. Depression and sadness took over his life. Sure, other females would approach him knowing he'd been with Joanna. That was just the thing. He'd been with Joanna. What would he want with one of these other promiscuous skanks who had the nerve to call Joe a whore? Jordan spent most of his time alone. Mixed drinks turned to straight shots. Plus it got louder and louder as he stopped smoking regular bud altogether. With his depression and the increase in his substance abuse, Jordan started to change. The skanks did just fine in pleasing his sexual hunger as long as he closed his eyes tight, picturing Joe shining in color in his flashbacks. No matter who he was with, Jordan still followed Joe on Facebook. He liked everything she posted. Sometimes he'd even send her a text message just to see if she was okay. Jordan was glad she wasn't back to her old ways. It would have killed him to know someone else was with her. It didn't matter that he was seeing someone else exclusively himself now. Sitting with her in his car, Jordan thinks of Joanna as this pretty little brunette goes down on him. Once she gets out and walks inside, Jordan sends Joanna a text. It says, "No matter who I'm with, you will always be the one." He checks in on her because he knows there's no one better. Jordan just can't let her get away, so he's keeping her around, only nowhere near as close as he liked.